How do we hold the office holders in government, elected and appointed, accountable to we the people when there is example after example of their disregard and clear violations of the oath they took to support and defend the Constitution? Clearly, they aren't worried about their chances of re-election. Today we will discuss examples, some recent and some older, of the blatant and public violations of the oath of office. I am Jeff Robertson, a practicing attorney with over 35 years of courtroom experience and a retired Marine officer of 27 years of service, active and reserve. After September 1st, 2001, the executive was looking for justification to attack Iraq. The president intended to take military action, claiming that the commander-in-chief has the inherent authority to conduct a military invasion of a sovereign country, and House Joint Resolution number 114 had been proposed authorizing the president to use military force in Iraq. When it was being debated in the International Relations Committee of the House of Representatives, Ron Paul, Republican representative from Texas, proposed an amendment to the resolution seeking an explicit declaration of war against Iraq in the form used by Congress in 1941 when it declared war against Japan. Mr. Paul was not in favor of going into Iraq at all, opposing it for constitutional as well as policy reasons, but was attempting to keep the power of the sword where it constitutionally belonged, the Congress, not the president. Henry Hyde, Republican representative from Illinois and chairman of the committee, said on the record that the Constitution's express delegation to Congress of the power to declare war was one of those things no longer relevant to a modern society and was inappropriate and anachronistic as a prerequisite to an actual armed invasion of a sovereign foreign nation. Tom Lantos, Democratic representative from California, called Mr. Paul's recommendation a frivolous proposal, making the blatant rejection of the Constitution bipartisan. Edward Royce, Republican representative from California, stated that the resolution permits the president to wage war, and no one on the committee disagreed. The resolution went to Congress as a whole, which agreed with Hyde and Lantos, and the resolution was adopted. There are historical reasons that the Founding Fathers gave to Congress the power to declare war. Blackstone's commentaries made clear that in English law, the king, not Parliament, had the sole prerogative of making war and peace, acted as the generalissimo, or the first in military command, within the kingdom, and exercised the sole power of raising and regulating fleets and armies, and the sole supreme government and command of the militia. Having read the commentaries and having experienced directly the effect of the king's sole discretion in use of the military, the founders rejected giving that power to the executive, and the Constitution denies the executive any and all of this authority, assigning it exclusively to Congress, except that the president does, when Congress declares war, hold the office of Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States, and of the militia of the several states when called into the actual service of the United States. The Constitution took the king's sole prerogative of making war and peace and gave Congress the power to declare war. The Constitution took the king's sole power of raising and regulating fleets and armies and gave Congress the power to provide and maintain a navy and to make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces. The Constitution took the king's sole supreme government of the militia and gave Congress the power to provide for calling forth the militia, to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions, and to provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia, and for governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States. The President, as Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States, is always subject to the power of Congress to make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces. The President, as Commander-in-Chief of the militia of the several states, when called into the actual service of the United States, is still subject to the power of Congress to provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia, and for governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States. But then only after Congress has exercised its power to provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and to repel invasions. The office of President of the United States does not constitute the temporary dictator envisioned by the Senate of the Roman Republic. In the case of Martin versus Hunter's lessee, the U.S. Supreme Court said the powers actually granted must be such as are expressly given or given by necessary implication. In the case of Ex parte Quinn, the President possesses no power not derived from the Constitution. And in the case of United States versus Butler, they said that powers not granted are prohibited. Part of the duty of the executive, the President, is to take care that the laws be faithfully executed, which means that the President, above all office holders, must conform to each and every one of the limitations of his own office. The Founding Fathers had good reason to depart from the Anglo-American legal tradition as set forth by Blackstone. The court, in Marbury versus Madison, said it cannot be presumed that any clause in the Constitution is intended to be without effect. They determined that the decision to go to war should always be in the hands of the representatives of the people most affected by war, a large, diverse body of legislatures who could be a check and balance on each other, and more importantly, an executive who might have his own agenda or even be psychologically unfit. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, please push the subscribe button below and share this video with others who are concerned with how to constitutionally take our country back. If you would like to receive notices of when upcoming videos are released, please press the bell and you will be among the first to get my new videos. Thank you for watching.